Dr. Cloud Show. We are live all across, I sort of say all across the country, which the show I used to be on is all across the country, and now we're all across the world. So it is great to be with you again today. This is a call-in program where you get to call and we get to talk. We get to hang out. I'm going to give you the number right off the bat here, so you can scutter over to your secret calling place. 844-940-2774 is the number to call and be on the program. 844-940-2774. Okay, so some of you have been thinking about calling. Should I call? I don't know. Maybe I'll call. Maybe, yeah, I think I'm going to call. Take that little bitty step and call us so we can talk to you. You know, one of the things about this, and I've done call-in radio for a long time, one of the coolest things about it is the very thing that happens in life, people. Guess what? You come out of the shadows and you start to talk about stuff and you find out, whoa, I'm not the only one that feels that way. You mean somebody else? What? Somebody got over that? Somebody, wow, I never thought of that step. See, when we are holed up in our own little corner of life and we're stuck with these forces that are coming at us and events and people and dynamics and, you know, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, what do we do? Well, there's a reason that we can feel like, I don't know what to do. And I'm going to give you that reason. It's very, very, very much a reason that makes sense. Because here's what happens. So many times, the dynamics that you are dealing with are probably not the first time that you've run into that dynamic in life. Okay, now it may feel like the first time. Who sang that song? Feels like was that Boston or Foreigner? One of those groups when I was in elementary school. It may feel like the first time. I remember a lady, a lady in a group one day said, "I've been married to nine different abusive men, and I'm not going to do that anymore." And somebody said, "Mabel, that's not true. You've been married to one guy with 9 different names." All right, now think about this. It may feel like the first time you're with Tommy or Joey or this or the other, but no, it's not. It's a pattern that goes way back, but we experience issues like that's a problem for the first time when really it's a pattern. Now, here's why it feels like you're kind of all alone by yourself. Because a lot of times the patterns that we develop are really early on in our existence. I mean, don't be surprised at that. You learn to speak the language you're speaking early on in your existence. You learn to walk early on in your existence. I mean, we can't wait till we're 35 to learn how to do stuff in life. Those patterns get wired early. It's the way it's supposed to be. But here's a problem. When patterns get wired early, you know, the options of people around you to help develop those patterns and new options of people to relate to and connect to and different kinds of opportunities for activities, and those are really, really, really pretty limited. I mean, you talk about a little bitty child. Sometimes I hear adults treat a relationship like if that person left me I wouldn't be able to survive, and they do people pleasing and all sorts because this one person's approval makes so it's the whole world. Well, that makes sense if you think about the patterning, because when the patterning to feel that way was laid down, that person was a little child where one person was the whole world. Everything depended on that one person. So then we get into adulthood and have kind of that same mentality. We see our own little circle maybe as like all the options in the whole world. When we open up and get in front of, or in view of, or get to see, I don't mean necessarily going on a radio show, but I mean, when you go to a group, for example, or you go into a community of growth where other people and your world gets bigger than the little world you're in, then we start to see options and possibilities. And we start to find out we're not alone. We find out we're not the only one that feels that way. There are other people that feel this way. So, one of the reasons I love live radio, we get to hear one person talk about a problem, but so many of us get to hear that issue and think, oh, I felt that way. One of the things I love about this program, and one of the reasons I really, really, really want and need you to share it with your friends, because we're doing this as kind of a time limited thing. But if we build an audience and there's enough people that want to join this community and be here and read the posts and listen to the show and all that, then we will keep doing it. So share it. But one of the things I'm loving is watching the community that's building and the community of support around the issues that we all deal with. Key thing in life. Okay. So again, let me give you the phone number. It's 844-940-2774. And also from the beginning of the program, I also want to give a shout out to our sponsor. We kind of have a silent sponsor here, but what we have to mention because they are a sponsor. It's our boundaries.me program. So take a look at boundaries.me, which is the way that you can actually join in this in a deeper way by becoming a subscriber as we go work through issues in life. Go to boundaries.me. Okay, so let's go to the callers here. And let me see, we've got Kathy who's calling us from Kilgore, Texas. Kathy, welcome to the program.
Hi, Dr. Clown, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. How are you today?
Great. I'm doing great. I'm so glad to speak with you.
Well, likewise, but remind me where Kilgore is as a person that's lived in Texas.
Well, most people know where Tyler is. Tyler,
that's
Texas.
Where I thought it was. Yeah, you're right. I used to drive that I-20 stretch from Mississippi to Dallas when I was in college. And I thought that's where Kilgore was. So tell me how I can help you.
It's a little bitty town. First of all, I just want to say how much I appreciate the work that God does through you. I'm convinced that He used you 6 years ago to save my life, quite literally. After reading your book and getting to know you, you immediately started your boundary.me. It was perfect timing for me. I joined right away. I'm in your group. I love it. I learned so much from it. And I just want to say I appreciate you.
Well, I want to say I appreciate you because if you're learning from it and you're in the group and you're sharing, you're also helping other people. Because, I mean, how much of what happens there is in the community, right?
Yes. And I've learned so much so quickly. It's just amazing what God's done.
Right. So what's your
question today is kind of simple, though.
I love simple questions. I always get these hard questions. Give me a simple one.
Well, it's hard for me, but it's maybe a simple question. Maybe not. I don't know. But I have 4 children. They're all adults. My oldest is 26. Then I have 25-year-olds.
Your simple question is, how does that happen? Where do these kids
come
from?
No. That's what people used to ask me when I had 4 kids. No, that's not my question. But right, don't you know how that happens?
Yeah, keep going. What is a simple question?
So my youngest is getting married. She's 21. She's been a joy of my life. Her being the youngest, she really enjoyed that role. She allowed me to be mommy longer than any of the other independent ones. And this transition's been difficult for me. She's ready. I know that she is, but there are still moments when I find myself kind of just really emotional wreck over, I have to share her now. And it seems kind of unhealthy to me a little. Like, I don't know if it's normal, if it's healthy.
Wait a minute. Hey, Kathy.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I hate to do this. Are you sitting down?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it even worse.
Oh no.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You're not even gonna get to share her. When a kid grows up and gets married, they actually belong to someone else. And
I know.
If this goes well, they will share their life
Yeah.
with you. It's like to realize how deep this leaving and cleaving thing is and how important it is.
I
You no
know.
longer have her and you get to share her, no, I'm sorry, it's worse than that. But if you do it well, then it's going to go great. And your adult relationship with her after she's married and moves, that's going to be maybe the deepest experience of relationship with her that you've ever had. But anyway,
Well,
you're
that's what
not
I want, is it to go well, because like right now she calls me her best friend to everyone. We are extremely bonded on a very deep level. We discuss boundaries together all the time.
that's great.
She's just like my best friend now that she's an adult. You get to do that, right? So it's just every once in a while I find myself struggling with, if she spends a little bit more time over at the other place, and I know that I've got to let go, and I know
The
I've got to
other,
do
what do you
that, and
mean
I
the other? What do you mean the other place? Her
well,
fiance?
the wonderful other family that she has now, and they're amazing, and they love her, and and
Okay, so
it's hard, Dr.
I think,
Cloud.
I think I get it. So what is the issue? I mean, what I got the issue. What
Okay,
is the question?
the question is, how do I demonstrate to her that I'm here, I'm available, without, and the other mom's struggling too, by the way. We've talked together. She's struggling equally. But I'm here, but without crossing those boundaries. I want to know, like, what is a maybe couple of tools I could use to demonstrate proper, appropriate boundaries with her, so that I can let her grow
Great,
without, making
great.
her feel
Let me.
guilty or bad for, normal, for what she should be
Yeah,
doing.
you don't want. Do you remember the old American Express ads? American Express, don't leave home without it. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to be an American Express mother, right? Don't leave home without her. Because
No.
the way that God has designed this thing is that we grow up and there's here's mom and the family and all that, and they're like the center of everything. You can't even get, you want to, well, they go take a nap so I can have some time. And then if you do that well, then they go like this, and they start to face the outside world. And then they come back like this for a while, refueling. And then they firmly get planted in the outside world. And then it's
Mhm.
a way different dynamic. And that's when they're really independent. And that is actually what you want. Now, I'm going to give
Yes,
you a
it
couple.
is.
I'm going to give you a couple of things to think about. When you're saying, y'all are best friends, I'm going to be honest with you about this. Okay, when you say
Mhm.
y'all are best, if you mean you're good friends, that's great. But if I have two daughters, 17 and 19, and I really would hope that we're not their best friends. I would hope that they
Mhm.
have moved the source of their main emotional fuel to being,
Right.
the adult community of peers that they're building, whether that's their youth group
Yes.
or friends or, whatever it is. So I don't know how you mean that, but one of the things that you asked a question, how to be talking to her, I would say, here, let me share a little wisdom with you. Here's what I've learned in my life. So we have our families, and our family is a great source for a lot of things. They're supposed to be a source for a lot of things. But when we grow up, then we have to make sure we're building our own, call it a spiritual family, a community, a support network.
Mhm.
And so I
Mhm.
want you to have that as well as me and as well as us. And so maybe what we can talk about is look at it like a pie chart. Like this is you, and you got a lot of different stakeholders in your life. The first and primary one's going to be your new husband, right? And
Yes.
then you got your new in-laws, and then he's got us and our family, and then you got your community, then you got your job. So as we look at this pie chart, and I might even put it on a sheet of paper, let's talk about some mutually agreed upon expectations of how often you want to see us? When would it feel intrusive to you? When does it feel controlling?
Mhm.
And really have a good
Mhm.
conversation about that if it doesn't happen naturally. And then the second thing that I would do if I were you is I would thank God that you have a daughter, A, that loves you and wants to be with you, and B, that you love and want to be with. I mean, I know we always love our kids, but some people, it's like I wish they would behave in a way that I'd want to have a relationship with them. And you guys have that. And I would
Yeah.
celebrate them. That is so, so cool. And then figure
It
out how to
really is
divide the time.
awesome.
And then the last thing I would leave
Yeah.
you with is remember this: when you miss her, whose problem is that?
Mine.
That's right. That's right.
I
I will
know.
never. And so then you got to have your best
And I've even
friend.
told her, honestly, like I have told her, like when she first gets married, I won't be the first to call, but just because I know I have to put a guard on myself. Like, call me when you're ready to talk, or when y'all are finished, and celebrating. And when
When
you're
y'all
ready
are
to talk,
finished.
call me
Oh,
first.
finished.
Celebrating.
That's funny.
I'm not going to call you first
That's
because I
funny.
don't want to be that
Yeah.
mom that just, that interrupts the beginning of
Great.
something new and
Absolutely.
great.
Absolutely. Look, if you love
It's
somebody,
just
set them
so
free. And
hard.
it's hard. If you love somebody, set them free, and they'll return to you. But if you keep
Yeah.
trying to hold on, then they'll have to continue to establish their freedom. And you don't want that coming from the husband, where you are in between the two of them. And I'll close with this story. Um, uh, my oldest, Olivia, when we dropped her off at college, and I remember, still feel it.
I know. I
When,
know.
when I closed that door,
I know.
I thought I was going to die.
I
And Tori
know.
and I, Tori was going to stay till the next day. I had to leave. I had to go somewhere. We moved her in. I found out that Uber does have Kleenexes. But I remember getting in the elevator and feeling like this is the worst. Yeah. Terrible.
It
But I
is.
remember at the same time, thinking, this is a self-inflicted wound that I am proud of, and I've got to celebrate this, because this is what I've prayed and worked for 18 years, that this girl would grow up and be independent and get to go have her own life. And
Yeah.
I love that. I'm gonna celebrate it, and I hate it with every fiber in my being. So that's what I want you
A
to do is get.
necessary pain. Thank you for
That's what
that.
it is. Okay. Thank you for your call. You sound like a great mom, and congratulations to your new son-in-law. Tell him it sounds like to me that he did all
He's
right in the mother-in-law
wonderful.
department. So that's a good thing.
Oh, thanks.
It's a lucky boy. Our number, 844-940-2774. You know, there's a lot of different ways to go screwy in relationships. One of the ways we can do it is we can hang on so tight that our oneness becomes smothering and controlling. And the other way to do it is we're so separate and independent that we don't have any relationship at all. Now, what we just heard from Kathy was, we talked about that, and I love how she's concerned about it. Oh my gosh, how I wish every mother in the world were concerned. I don't want to be controlling of my daughter. There are some there's people out there, Kathy, they're listening right now, and they're saying, I want to start over. Will you be my mother? You actually are concerned about that. You said you don't want to put guilt and this, that, and the other. So, you know what? Each one of us has to carry this dynamic in all of our relationships. When we have enough togetherness and enough separateness, I love the advice that the guy on the radio a few minutes ago gave you. And because I really believe in this, it's so important to sit down and talk about this stuff. And sometimes when we put it in a little chart or a pie chart, it's like a budget. You got $10. How much you're going to spend on milk? How much you're going to spend on eggs? How much you're going to spend on this? Well, you got so many days and so many weeks and so many months in the year and so many holidays. what are our expectations? How many times are we going to spend it at home? How many times are we going to spend it out here? What's this? Get your expectations clear. It takes care of a lot of the problems. All righty. So let's go talk to our next caller, who is Kylie, calling us from Tyson, Virginia. Kylie, welcome to the Dr. Cloud Show.
Hi, Dr. Cloud. This is Kylie.
Good to talk with you. Welcome to the program.
Hi. First of all, I want to thank you. My husband and I actually got together and now married for 14 years because of your book.
Oh, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping?
Yes. Before that, I was not dating because I read this book called Kiss Dating Goodbye book.
Yeah.
And then I listened to New Life Live, and you were on. You were talking about how to date and then find the one that's worth keeping. And he was reading the same book at the same time.
You know, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I've had couples walk up to me, I'm out speaking somewhere, and they walk up, they're holding their hands like this, they show me their rings, and they say, it was the book. But Kylie, I'm going to take a second here, since a lot of people don't know what you're talking about, to kind of explain this. It was a number of years ago. She said she read it, 14 years ago or so. It's been a number of years.
Yeah.
And I was out there, Kylie, speaking a lot, in various parts of the country. And there was this time period where every time I would speak, it didn't matter. I could be speaking on basket weaving. I was not speaking on dating. I hardly ever would speak on dating. And in fact, I didn't speak on dating before I wrote the book, but I might say something about me. Anyway, after the talk, it was always like, I'm going to say 3 women. Sometimes it might be 2, sometimes it might be 4, but something like that. They would walk up to me after the talk and they'd say, can we ask you a question? I'd say, yeah. And they would say, why aren't we dating? I go, I don't know why you're dating. I mean, if you want to date, date. Well, we, nothing. And so I kept hearing this in city after city after city after city. And finally, it was in Daytona Beach, Florida. 2 women walked up to me and said, can I have a question? Can we ask a question? I go, I'll tell you what the question is. Because by then I heard it so many times. I told them, why aren't you dating? And they go, yeah, how'd you know? I go, well, this is a big problem, apparently. And you know what? I don't know the answer, but I'm going to research it. And so I started a 2-year research project on why people that wanted to be dating weren't when they wanted to be dating, why it wasn't happening, and why kind of that whole world. And I did a lot of research. I put together dating groups around the country, all this stuff. And I found out there are reasons. There are very, very objective reasons for this. And we can crack this code and we can fix it. And I wrote the book and you did it. Way to go. So congratulations. Because there's only 2 dating problems you can have. How to get a date worth keeping. Number 1, either you're not getting dates. Well, there's a reason for that. And second problem is maybe you're getting a lot of dates, but none of them are worth keeping. And so it sounds like you did it. Way to go.
Yeah, and he did it too. So,
he
but
did
my
too.
question for you today is about me. For 3 times in my life, I have a period of time I'm ruminating about something that could not get rid of it. And I have counselor, and I talked to my counselor many times, and it didn't help. And when it was so-called acting up, like when I have that, usually it lasts for a few months, and then it went away by itself. I really, truly don't know how it went away. And I just don't know the answer.
Do you still have the counselor?
I still have the counselor. I have actually 2 counselors now.
2 counselors?
Yes, I have one counselor that I've seen for 14 years, ever since I got married, and another person to deal with like a post-traumatic trauma from childhood.
Okay, so it's more specifically for that, like a lot of times there's a particular method like EMDR or something they do specifically for that. So you
Yeah.
got two counselors. You're talking about ruminating. What do your counselors tell you?
Well, when I had that problem, the recent problem happened last year. I only had one counselor, and the 14 years relationship, that counselor. And what happened was, I'm a teacher, and at school somebody said something unkind to me, and I didn't know how to respond at the time. Then I started to ruminate about that, and then after that will be that person's image, the coworker who said something unkind to me. The image will be in my mind. I'm trying to get rid of it. The more I try to get rid of it, the bigger it grows. It's kind of like you don't want to think about the elephant in the room, but the more you think about it, the elephant gets bigger.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. There's this big elephant in my kitchen right now. Can you hold on a sec? No, I'm kidding. I understand. All right. But real quickly, what did your counselor tell you to do? How did you get rid of it? You said this was last year.
I truly don't know how I got rid of, because
But what did your counselor suggest?
Okay, my counselor suggests that I prayed about it and I give it to the Lord. And she also had an EMDR session with me where I saw some image from childhood. That's about it. But the image was not really directly related to events, so it didn't really help.
Well, it went away, right?
It didn't go away immediately. It went away like a couple months later.
It's gone now, right? You don't have this problem anymore.
No, I've been free for over a year.
Well, great. So you're more asking what causes this and
how do I handle it in the future? Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right. So it's a really good question. And first of all, you're exactly right. What happens with obsessions a lot of times is people try to tell themselves to not think about it. Well, think about this. When you're telling yourself to not think about it, there's an it that you're not going to think about, which means you're thinking about it, right? So that's kind of like, good luck with that. So when we are when we're dealing with this, and broadly, I'm just going to, call this an obsession. That's usually what we call it. An obsession is a thought that you can't get out of your head that continues to be there. But here's the problem. Generally, those come from some sort of anxiety or some sort of trigger. We get hurt, or there's something to remind us of when we got. Anyway, there's some sort of distress inside, and what that does is kind of activates the system, and it shows up in this thought. And then what we do is we kind of try to think our way through it. And when you pay attention to it, that's a little bit, because it helps for 30 seconds sometimes. And you kind of reason your way through it and obsess your way through it. And that helps for a minute, but it doesn't, because as soon as you kind of let it go, it comes right back. Because what you've done is when you've obsessed about it and thought about it, you're actually reinforcing that pattern. Like, giving a treat to a dog, right? They're going to keep coming back if you reward them. And worry is like that. And actually it's worse than that, because we're building, neurological pathways actually when we're doing that, and that reinforces it. And then down those rivers, all sorts of different boats can get in those rivers of worrying about other stuff later, because we developed a mental habit, if you will, or really it's a neurological pattern that does that. So worry is not the way to do it. All right. But here's the problem. That invites you. Okay. It's like waving a flag, an obsession. And it invites you because there's something underneath that that's kind of triggering that anxiety. Now, I would guess, I have no way of knowing this. Don't take this as medical advice or psychological advice or any other advice. But I would tell you that you did experience something there that very much could explain why it went away when you said that you guys had an EMDR session on it. And because sometimes what we're obsessing about is really not the problem at all. We're obsessing about something that symbolizes the real unresolved hurt or wound or dynamic in our lives that really causes us anxiety. So, for example, coworker says something mean, that becomes a symbol, a trigger that goes to a network of unresolved kind of feelings and trauma and relationship, or, from somebody else, or patterns of 1,000 people or whatever that have done this before. And that person, the memory of that person becomes, it's like sort of like a figure on a chessboard. I'm going to get to resolve this lifelong issue with this little symbol of this person about people saying mean things to me. And I'm going to play this obsession with this chess piece because actually it symbolizes the dynamic of other people. So, what the EMDR thing could have done, I don't know if it did or not, but what did she do? She started activating, bilateral, two sides of your brain got activated, and then the EMDR session that are connected to networks of memories, which triggered, you said, another image that one was connected to, and it brought that up, and you might have brought that up and resolved it, and then the whole thing went away. But there's some lessons in here for all of us. Number one, if you're thinking about something and your thinking helps resolve it, like I've got to think about, when this program's over, there's a few things I got to get done in the next hour. Let me see, how am I going to do that? And I come up with it. Okay, I'm done. See, when I've thought about it, I've resolved it, then I can push it aside. An obsession is not like that. You think about it and you think about it and you think about it. It goes over and over and over and over and over. That's got to be a clue. Thinking is not helping. It's not going to help. So stop it. Now, right now, I have on noise canceling headset, right? Right now, y'all can't, I don't think you can hear the gardener next door as a really loud lawnmower, okay? I can't stop that noise. But what I can do is, and it's been going on a while. When it first came on, I started thinking about, can they hear me? I got to do the radio show. Can I say, I can't do anything about it. So what I'm going to do is focus on you. I haven't thought about that noise pretty much since we started. But what I had to do was I had to ignore it. And then I had to get involved in thinking about something else. And that's one of the most helpful patterns about how these associations and rumination is broken, is there is a name it, say, that's what it is, not going to worry about it. Name it, feel it, but ignore it, and then get distracted and focus. That's building new patterns of you being in control of your attention, not the obsession. And then the other important part about this is go talk to a counselor like you did. What does this obsession, this rumination, what does it symbolize that may be about something else that's continuing to knock at my door until I resolve it? That's another important piece. Maybe a person, maybe a trauma, but maybe a dynamic. Maybe about a dynamic. The dynamic I'm not finished with may be that if somebody doesn't like me or disapproves or whatever, then I'm in danger. I don't know what that is, but I got to go find out. So use worry as a signal. It's like any other symptom. Use it as a signal to resolve the issue. Okay. So thank you for your call. I'm so glad that the book helped you, and great to get to chat about that. Worry. Some people are worried about that they might be worried, right? Worry is a tough deal. It's a tough deal. Do you know how often the Bible talks about not worrying, and how often the self-help book section at the bookstore talks about not worrying? It's got, why does it do that? Because it's a human problem. It's a human problem. Don't feel bad about it, but there's some things you can do about it. One of the biggest ones is to learn to, just like that noisy, whatever that is next door, I don't know, lawnmower. So you can't stop the thought from coming up. That's probably your fight or flight system causing that anxiety. But just like the lawnmower, I can ignore it and stay involved in life, and it might rattle around, but I'm never going to divert my attention to it. And what people think is, to solve worry, you got to make it stop making noise. No, you don't. If you stop paying attention to the noise and get involved in what you're doing, could be watching a TV show or having a conversation or playing softball, stay here, okay? Then what's going to happen is gradually you're not feeding that monster anymore, and it's going to get tired of knocking at your door, and it's going to die down. And then look at the underlying issues as well. Okay, so let's go to April, who is calling us from the great state of Pennsylvania. April, are you there? And if you are, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Cloud. How are you?
I'm good. I got you. There you are. I hear you.
Nice to finally talk to you in person.
Oh, it's good to talk to you too. So how can I help you?
Well, I recently found out through a mutual friend that another one of my friends has some romantic interest in me, and I'm trying to decide whether or not I should date him. On paper, he's basically everything that I would want, but I just don't feel the attraction, I guess, to him at this point. But in the past, I've always chosen pretty badly in terms of who to date, and so I don't know whether to trust that or to trust myself in making this decision.
Well, what do you mean to trust? When you say I don't know whether to trust that, what is that?
I guess the feeling of attraction, because I've always tended to be attracted to people who ultimately turn out to be not a great match.
They're like, scary. You know, they look nice, and then they turn into the what movie was that? Psycho. Yeah, remember that movie? Is that what happens? It's an old Alfred Hitchcock movie. The point being, they look good in the beginning, and then you find out, oh, well, what was I missing? I didn't see something here, right?
Yeah, like I always go for the very warm, charming, popular, good-looking guys, and then ultimately I end up getting lied to, cheated on, whereas like I don't have that immediate initial physical attraction to my friend, but he treats me well in so many ways.
Yeah. Well, I'd say 3 or 4 things about this. In fact, were you on the line a little earlier when I mentioned the book, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping?
No, I don't. I think I came late.
I would suggest pick up that book, because I talk about this issue in that book in several ways, but I'm going to just say a few things about it. First of all, when you say, should I date him? Okay. What are we talking about when we say date? Because a lot of people, and the book actually starts out, it says, look, the number one thing to get in your head about dating is not about marriage. Okay. Now, once you do that, and you realize dating is a meaningful social activity that sometimes ends up in marriage or serious relationship, oftentimes it doesn't, but it is a really, really important part of kind of the process, where you go out on dates with a lot of different kinds of people and you learn. Okay, first of all, it's a meaningful experience to go have lunch or go fishing, or go for a walk in the park, or go to dinner at a movie, or go to church, or go to a festival or whatever with somebody and spend time with them, and you get to know them. That's all dating is. Now, what happens in that process is a couple of things that you're learning. If you're dating enough different types, if you're dating enough different kinds of people, usually what happens is people that have been in a pattern like you're talking about, and I totally understand that, they had a type, right? They're always drawn to this type. Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. Some of those reasons might be like, sort of defensive. In nature, we build these kind of defense systems that you're only attracted to certain kind of person because you're trying to rework some old issue. There's 1,000 different reasons, but number one is types cannot be trusted. Okay, types cannot be trusted. So when you're dating a lot of different kind of people, what you learn is you grow out of your type. And sometimes when you're dating a lot of different people, then you learn, oh, you know what? I never knew that I would like a person like this, or that's a really good quality I want to look for. Or it doesn't mean you end up with any of them, but what's happening is you're growing past that type. Now, here's another thing that happens, and I've done the research on this. You talk to happily married people, and what you're going to find so many times is they'll tell you, I never could have seen myself ending up with somebody like him or her. It surprised them, but something got them out of their
Mhm.
type into learning about themselves and about other people. But here, should you date him? Why not? Why not go out on a date? Now, if going on a date means we're an item, then that's kind of, how do we know that anyway? But if you guys have been friends for a while, and you might say to him, so and so told me that you might want to go out on a date instead of a friend hangout. Did you say that? I'll go out on a
Mhm.
date with you. I'm not, I don't know what that means, but I'll go on a date. I mean, what would it be like to have a conversation like that?
Yeah, I think that's a good point because I think a lot of this also is fear of making the wrong decision because I'm 32 years old at this point and still single. And so I just want the next person that I date to be the right person. And that ultimately
Can I
leads to
talk?
marriage. And so I think I've put,
Can I talk you out of
sure.
that? Please. And they might be. They might be. I just
Mhm.
want to talk you out of the requirement that they have to be. Because one of the things
Mhm.
that, if you read the book, one of the things I say is you got to get your numbers up. In other words, you
Okay.
got to be going out with, a lot of different kinds of people and on a lot of dates, and don't get serious and don't get exclusive and don't get your heart tied in too early and all of that. And so if you're doing that, then there's not the pressure to the next one has to be the one, like you're going on a safari hunt for a trophy. I'd rather see you
Mhm.
ride through, the all of the plains and looking at all the different kinds of beautiful animals out there and talking to them and having fun. And then one day it'll happen. And then the other thing I would suggest is many times when there's a pattern like you're describing, somebody's attracted to a particular type that ends up underneath that relationally disappointing to them. Sometimes that has to do with some unresolved relationship. A lot of times it's in their family of origin, other times it's significant developmental times of life where there was a particular kind of person that was hurtful. They were emotionally abandoning, or they were self-centered or narcissistic or egocentric or something like that. And you never really worked through it and were able to name it and say, it wasn't me. It wasn't that I wasn't good enough. It was that there's something wrong with this person. They hurt me. And so until we do that sometimes, if we've been sinned against, until we name the sin, we will be susceptible to being sinned against in that same way because we won't have learned from it. Is that possible?
Mhm. Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense because in my childhood, I definitely experienced where, I just always had to, I guess, cater to someone else and like my emotional needs weren't really met. And so I tend to get into relationships where I'm giving, all the time and not really getting a whole lot in return. And so that,
Great.
that makes total sense to me.
Great awareness. I'm going to give you a verse to think about out of the Bible. Here's what it says. It says solid foods out of Hebrews. I want to say either chapter 5, I think. You can Google it. Solid food is for the mature who through practice have had their senses trained to discern good from evil. Now think about this. Relationships are for mature people, right? Not children, but people that have grown up, and I'm an adult and now I'm mature enough to start dating. That's what we look for in our kids, right? Mature enough to do this.
Hmm.
But it says, who have had their senses trained to discern good from evil. So having your senses trained means you sense this person's not listening to my needs. This person's kind of controlling. This person's pretty
Hmm.
selfish. And our senses go off, and then we can discern good from evil. Well, if you grow up in a place where you're talked out of your senses, right? No, that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I didn't do that. No, I'm not. And you get talked out of your senses. Then you got to go through a process of regaining your senses so you can discern good
Okay.
from evil. And then you're going to go out on one of
Hmm.
these mini dates that I'm talking about. And after 10 minutes, you're going to go, oh, this is a loser. And they may look charming and brilliant and all that kind of stuff, but you've learned to sense that narcissism or egocentricity. And then you're going to go out with somebody else and they're going to have a genuine interest in you, or they're going to spark some intellectual fire or something. So there's a lot in this, but I hope some of that is helpful for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I hope
Yeah,
you
I appreciate your
enjoy.
help.
Pick up the book, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping. It'll talk a lot about this. And here's
Okay.
the other thing I would say. Okay.
Hmm.
You know, you said the attraction part, the chemistry. There's
Yeah.
there's kind of there's kind of three big things here. There's chemistry, there's character, and there's competency. The three C's. And I also think another one is culture. I don't mean ethnic culture. I mean sort of like life. And we kind of have to fit into the broader way that people live life together in some way. Okay, so like if somebody has no faith at all and your culture is a faith culture, you have a big mismatch here. That's hard. But character is what you end up living with. It's what you're going to experience, and it's the rails that make everything work. So you got to be looking for the character. Secondly, is the competency. Are they relationally competent? Can they resolve conflict? Do they take responsibility for their own needs and feelings? Relational competency. But the third one is chemistry. And I think that in a real lasting, relationship like marriage, for example, that all three of those need to be there. So, but here's the thing, sometimes that chemistry develops later. It's not immediate, and I've heard it 1,000 times. So go out there and have
Okay.
fun. Don't, you know, get too involved too early till you see those four C's
Okay.
working. Thanks for your call.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
This is the Dr. Cloud Show. Our number, 844-940-2774. I love this audience because I just love when people are involved in life and when they're thinking about issues and they're not just on autopilot, going through just life without ever wondering, I wonder if I'm in the right lane. I wonder if I'm driving too fast. I wonder if I'm driving too slow. Where am I going to end up? Oh, I don't know, wherever I end up. That's not driving. I love this audience because you drive your car or you're finding out I'm not getting to where I want to be. So something's wrong with my driving. I need to look at my driving. But was it Aristotle? I think the unexamined life is not worth living. God tells us in the Bible to observe our ways, observe our patterns. That's what I love about this audience. And it's good to be with you every single time we get to do this. Tell your friends, we're going to keep doing this. If we build an audience, make sure it's worth your time, make sure it's worth my team's time to, if nobody's listening, it's not worth doing it. But if a lot of people are, it is. And also go visit our sponsor, boundaries.me, boundaries.me. And that is our subscription program where you join, you become a subscriber. It's very cheap. And what you do is you join and I become your coach online where we get to do all this cool stuff and go look at these areas of life. Boundaries.me. Go take a look right now. I encourage you to become a subscriber. You've heard some people talking about it. It can be a great, great next step. Okay, let's go back to the phones and talk to Abby, who's calling us from San Francisco. Another dating question today. It seems like to be the dating day.
Hi, Hi, Dr. Cloud. So happy to be talking to you finally. You're kind of like
Hi,
my
Abby.
hero.
Well, then I would say you probably ought to get outside more. If I'm your hero, you need to
That's exactly why I'm calling.
Now wait a minute. Are you guys hearing the gardeners out there blowing stuff, or are my
Nope.
my headphone taking care of that?
I can see it in the internet, but yeah, it's like clear, like it's just me and you on the phone, so it's doing a
That's
good
great.
job.
Then I won't worry about it. These
Yeah.
new, shout out to AirPods there. Okay, so tell me your question.
So 8 years ago, I was in a divorce, and I immediately joined a local divorce relationship recovery group in the peninsula.
Stop, Abby, stop.
Yes.
Okay. Gold star through the phone. I'm giving you a gold star. Put it on your fridge. Way to go. So many people don't do that. They get out of a relationship and they rebound into the next one. They never look at their broken people picker. They never look at the hurt. And they go repeat something, or they get hurt again. Way to go. You get a gold star, and you're one of the callers of the day. Okay. So you went to divorce recovery, and there you go. Now what happened after that?
And I became a table leader, in fact, with the hopes of walking with people and understanding really what they're going through, so I can speak from experience.
Yeah.
So fast forward 8 years. You know what? There definitely were some people that I was meeting, but I think you've done such a good job that I feel like I'm so picky now. Like I'm kind of like, I guess, once bitten, twice shy, where I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to start dating. And I was just listening to the previous caller, April, where the character and all that good stuff. But I was thinking to myself, I honestly don't want to make that same mistake. So I feel like I sabotage it even before I can.
Wait a minute, Abby.
Yes.
You were talking about the same mistake of marriage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What I said was, what if you said dating is not about marriage? You're going to go out on a lot of dates, meet a lot of different kinds of people, and maybe one day somebody's going to stand out in the crowd and they become special. But if there's no crowd, it's easy to stand out in the crowd of one. And what people do is they go, it's like, they got to find that type, and they find that one, and then all their cookies are in one basket, right? And so why are you scared just to go out on dates? Unless are you so, I don't mean this in a mean way, but I mean, are you so needy that you're just gonna grasp onto the first one that is nice to you?
It's actually quite the opposite. It's like, when people, how there's like a courtship part, and then you're like, they started doing the dance kind of thing, and I'm like, I'm already like, oh my gosh, I've seen this before. It's like somebody's telling me I'm too independent. Like, Abby, just have to let them, do their, thing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I kind of want to skip that part. And I'm just like, okay, what are your intentions?
What are your
I guess I'm from the old school.
Well, old school. I mean, the old school of courtship, or arranged marriages, or
I'm
what?
older now, I feel like I'm older now, right?
Somebody. Everybody's older than somebody. That's irrelevant. People of all ages date. Look, when you say you're too picky, what do you mean? What do you mean? Why can't you go out on a date? Go on a date. Are you too picky? You'll only go to one kind of restaurant?
Your type. yeah, like if you said your type, I try not to pick by my type because definitely my type will not be, usually it's like kind of, like me, almost like a boy of me, like a creative and, but usually what people I come across with is like not creative, but they're funny or something like that. So I really
So
try to go past that. But at this,
what's your question then? Why don't you go out on a bunch of dates and
so
enjoy yourself and say, I'm not going to get serious, not going to get married unless somebody really convinces me for very good reasons. Why don't you do that?
I guess
So
I
what's the
get
problem?
stuck. I feel like I freeze whenever I feel like I'm starting to like someone, it's like, oh, kind of like, I don't know how to just relax and just say, hey, this is not going to be marrying tomorrow, but I just want to be able to enjoy this person without scrutinizing them.
How long does it take for that to happen?
As long as I stop getting afraid of kind of relaxing, I guess. Like, I don't know. I think it's like almost stepping into the water again.
Does this happen on the second date, or it takes 8 years to get you to think this person might be nice? What are we talking about here?
I think it happens like right away. So I'm kind of like feeling like, I dismiss them right away, and I just want to be able to like, okay, they're not perfect, but I'm just like holding too tight, just like, ooh,
Abby, there's a lot of evaluation going on here for a simple date.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let's put this in a whole different category. I wish we had more time to talk. We got to hop off here, unfortunately, but I'm going to suggest I want you to get my book, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping. Okay, because it's going to talk a lot about this. But here's what I want you to do. First of all, I want you grounded in a really good support system. Sounds like you have that available to you. Okay, tell that support system, here's my fears. I don't want to run out there and get serious too quickly. So I'm going to be accountable to you guys and say, I went out on a date. And they're going to say, did he give you a ring? And you say yes. And you're going to go, no, okay, you're okay. I mean, some sort of, so if you're afraid that you're going to do something silly, then stay accountable to people. Okay. But have an internal thing. I'm going to go out with a lot of people, not going to get serious, not going to do anything stupid. I'm not going to, get exclusive. I'm just going to enter back in and enjoy this for what it is and get to know people and kind of find out this and the other. And if somebody starts to get interested in me, I'm going to say to them, I'm really, right now at least, I'm really not interested in an exclusive relationship, or serious or anything. If you feel like you're getting to the place where you want that, then right now, at least I don't. I need to be clear about that. And if you want to continue to go out and have fun and all that, we can do that. But you're not signing up for a lifetime deal so quickly, internally or interpersonally. So that's okay.
I guess so. Yeah. I just have to do it.
Well, you just have to not do it. I mean, in terms of, you got to not see it as so serious, but be careful and just learn to socially date until you're ready and until the person is the right kind of person. Okay. And then make sure you're safe.
You.
Make sure you're safe. All right.
Yes.
Thanks for your call.
Thank you.
This is the Dr. Oh, it's good to talk with you too. Thanks for calling. This is the Dr. Cloud program. I want to thank you guys for joining us in this this new experiment. I think we're at the end of our second full week now. Starting getting to the end of our second halfway. What day is it? I don't know. I'm lost. Anyway, we've been doing this for a couple of weeks, and it was an idea we got a couple of weeks ago. Let's try to do a radio show. And my team, who's awesome, put it together very, very quickly. And here we are. And then a bunch of people started listening and they said they liked it. But we need for you, if you want this show to continue, I really need you to share it. Okay. Share it with your friends. They can watch it 24 hours a day. We're live for 1 hour and that's when we can do the calls, but you can listen anytime. So share it with your friends. And if we build an audience, we will continue to come. Okay. Again, sponsored by boundaries.me. And that is where you can go sign up to become a subscriber. And you and I will go through a path of a lot of different stuff. There's over 60 courses on boundaries.me, over 60 different courses on all the kind of topics that we've been talking about here and many, many more. Check it out, go look at it. And until then, I will see you tomorrow. Now, I should make sure I check on the time. I think we had to change our time a little bit for tomorrow. Did we have to do that? Let me ask my team. Albie, what do we look like tomorrow? What time are we?
Pacific tomorrow.
What time?
1 o'clock.
1
Pacific
o'clock.
time.
1 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow. We will be right here. If there is a change, if there's ever a change to the time, go, go onto Facebook, or especially Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, just go look it up. If we have to change the time, and sometimes I might do that, sometimes I might be on an airplane, but if we have to change the time when we get, when lockdown is no longer happening, then we'll let you know. And obviously, it's going to sit there for 24/7 anyway, so you can promise. All right. I really love you guys. It's so great to hear from you. All your comments, the way you're helping each other out, and everything that's going on with all of this community we're building. Really, really cool. I appreciate also the comments we got yesterday. I know I had to miss the show, and I appreciated your comments and care and concern about that. And so thank you very much. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Bye-bye.